26, 2019, and you're listening to episode 7 of Manchild and the Old Guy. He's the man-child, a bearded 20-something, and I'm the old guy, a cynical Gen Xer. This is your intergenerational podcast where he discusses pop culture, faith, politics, and whatever he finds interesting, and I tell him he's wrong and just complain. Broadcasting from the basement because that is where Mom lets us. Welcome to our stream of consciousness.
And good morning, welcome everybody, or afternoon, doesn't really matter because you can listen to this on the internet, on your phone, whatever. But don't be listening in class or at work where you can get fired or get detentions. No, you know what? Scratch that. Do that because if you get fired, you get detentions, then other people will know about this podcast. They will see how we will set them free upon the fatherland that is America, and they will be able to listen to a stream of consciousness that will not keep them enslaved to our culture.
Oh boy.
Gotta get a name, man.
Where did that come? You had a long day at work today, didn't you?
Oh man, I have had such a long day. I don't know if I will be able to emotionally recover from today for the next week.
Because?
It's been a very long day. And then it's going to be a very long day tomorrow. And then Tuesday is going to be a very long day. Because I won't get off work until pretty much 12 a.m.
Well, I want to remind you that there is 24 hours in every day.
That's great. I also want to remind you that your
long
headphones are on backwards. Okay, so I don't want to hear another word out of you about how you're trying to be really smart when you just... What is with this, man? It has a right and a left side in the headphones.
I just put them on.
You just put them... How do you not tell that they're not on right? You literally have this huge Grand Canyon gap between your ear and the ear muff on both sides. You just make a difference. It sounds exactly the same. Wrong. You are wrong.
Do they look better now?
Yes,
are you
it'll look
happy?
better.
Great.
You look better, okay? You look healthy. You look healthier. You lost weight.
This reminds me of that time you tried to drill a hole in your head.
And it would have worked too if you hadn't stopped me.
Yeah. So, as we get started today, there's this dude that you went on a rant about last week. And it kind of turned out that, I said last week, that I felt like this was a promotional thing by one of these players, and that's kind of the way it turned out.
Yeah. So here's what the complete story of all that happened with Sir James Charles. He went to go to Coachella. Now, for whatever reason, the way it worked out was he got into Coachella. So there's artist tickets and VIP tickets. VIP tickets are the highest priced tickets you can buy, but artist tickets you can't buy. They're given to you by companies, things like that. But they come with security and all this kind of stuff. So James Charles and a couple of his friends bought the VIP tickets. So they got into Coachella, but what they soon realized is that he started getting mobbed. And there's videos. He was getting, harassed and mobbed by people for photographs and things. They could not enjoy anything.
Is this stuff you didn't see last week when you were going off
this
the
was
deep
stuff
end?
that I didn't see, and it wasn't out. He made a 40-minute long video explaining everything, text messages, videos. So then he went and found a friend that said, "Hey, I'm gonna hook you up with Sugar Bear makeup or whatever. If you just promote them, record a video, put it on your Snapchat or your Instagram or whatever. Today, they're going to give you those artist tickets so you can enjoy your weekend. Don't worry about it." And they gave him security and everything, but it was a legitimate concern. Mm-hmm. Now, Tati, the friend that, quote unquote, the mother figure and all this kind of stuff, played this all for a promotional gig and was lying. And then you got Jeffree Star, another gay MUA makeup artist thing, and they just lied their pants off. But because of how high in stature they are in that especially on YouTube for society, for how credible they are in things, that's why I immediately jumped on them as being truthful, because it just would be so out of place. And I'm completely shocked by this instance where, I didn't mean to be so mean to James Charles. I've never met the guy. He's successful. He seems really nice. But he showed evidence for everything that he claimed happened and didn't happen, and Tati and the Jeffree Star lady person, whatever.
And as far as I can tell, Tati and the other
individuals,
wackadoodle out there,
yeah,
they haven't discounted what he said.
They can't, because he has all the text messages with read receipts, so you know exactly when. There's voice things. I mean, it's nuts to see how much he went into detail to prove that everything they said was crap. And what happened was that Tatiana, whatever chick, she got millions of extra subscribers and views. She made, I think, like $10 million over this ordeal.
Holy
with
cow.
the amount of people trashing James Charles's brand of makeup and just buying her stuff in this whole ordeal. Anyway, I just want to apologize to James Charles. I felt really bad, and I still do feel bad. You know, I don't know you, and there's no reason for me to do that, especially when I talk about online drama being stupid, and yet here I am, getting in it, and I wasn't just being comical. I was kind of being. It sounded a little more serious, and I didn't mean to do it. So I wanted to apologize to you, James Charles. I did message him on Instagram and apologized, but so far he has yet to respond. So I guess I'm just not important.
Well,
but I already knew that, you know. Mom and
I mean, you don't know him from Adam, so why would you think he would respond? But I guess it would have been a nicety if he would have at least said something to you.
Yeah. So. But I mean, what the guy's got? Let me see how many. He has 15.3 million Instagram.
It was like 15 or 20 million.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with a solid. He does not give a crap about what's going on.
I'm sure once he sees your beautiful face, Manchild, he would want to put makeup on your beard or something.
You know what? That's a thing now, where people put makeup and what do you call it? Glitter, sparkle
on their beard.
Yeah. There's also a thing where they put it on dogs' balls, too. Have you seen that?
No.
You should look it up, glitter dog ball. I'm not even, can you look it up and you'll see. Well, they go around, they get a cup, they cup their hands with like this weird glitter, waxy stuff, and then they put it on their dog balls. Their dog's balls.
Testicles?
Testes, balls, whatever you want to call it, just right there. And they rub it. You know, it's just like, why? I don't even know how to make a joke about it.
Yeah,
It's why? Why would you do that?
It's got to be a millennial thing.
There's something that's a millennial thing about it, but I don't know. There's so many things happening right now that I mean Okay, I'm just going to do it. I don't know how I feel about a lot of this crap going on where people feel so free. I don't even know, man. I'm just going into it. I'm sick of seeing people do things, and I don't know how to truly feel about certain things where people see like, oh, well, I have all this freedom and everything in my life, so I'm going to go all the way and just do it. I'm going to do everything in my life. Well, you know what? There's some things, Gretchen, that need to stay in your closet. Okay? I don't need to know you have a third nipple on your front butt cheek.
What?
I don't need to know that. But then there's people doing these slut rock.
Nipple on their
just
butt
saying.
cheek?
God, apparently, or your bad genetics if you're from Alabama. You get these people
You're
that
slighting everybody from Alabama now?
I'm just saying that you get so many of these people that are just like doing the slut rocks. They're walking around like they're all big, and you give them the internet, and they make themselves seem like they're cool and everything. But if you go talk to them, they're a complete moron. I don't know what.
How is that any different?
I'm just saying it's killing me because there's so many people that are just letting so much stuff out in their lives and saying, "Oh, this is about being free. This is about being who I am." No, that's about being a freak. Like some of those things you're doing. No, man. I don't need to know what your pillow talk was with your bae this morning, man. Shut up.
Like there was a joke not too long ago. I think it was I don't remember who said it. It was a comedian or somebody was talking about. It might have been Jim Gaffigan. But he was saying things along the lines of, if we just had regular cameras, we wouldn't be taking pictures of our dinner and mailing pictures of what we were having for dinner to our friends. But for some reason on social media, we need to take pictures of it and share it with everybody.
And there was something that someone did. They talked about it like a documentary I watched where They did the math, and it is like 98, 95, whatever. It's one of those, high up their numbers. 97%. Where every photo you take with your phone is not made to actually help a memory go in a memory box. They are made specifically to share on social media. That is how a cell phone's camera is designed and made to operate the best, versus just taking a photo, the print off and put in an album book. Like when someone takes a photo on their phone, that's what it's going to. So, which it's kind of funny if you think about it. No one has scrapbooks anymore. They just have Facebook pages.
Well,
which is made for everyone to see, but at the same time, you have all these scrapbooks that Mom makes, and they're all meant for the family, for us to sit down and kind of go over memories that are private to us.
Mm-hmm.
But we're putting it all out there, so it's changing the context and what we show in those photos.
I don't follow what you're saying, that a cell phone picture is meant to be...
When you take a picture with your cell phone, almost never do you actually save that photo and not share it on the internet or with someone else. You don't just share that. You don't just take a photo, print it off.
There's something different about the camera that...
No. It's just designed, the interface, everything, and then how people interact with it to be shared. It's not made to be kept on your phone. It's not made to be printed off. That's not what happens with it. It's all shared. So now, when you take a picture... I'll disagree
with you just a little bit, because I've watched the teenage girls in different things that I'm doing, whether at church or at... Don't give me the creepy look.
I didn't say anything.
Whether at work or at church or something, and they'll take 35 pictures of themselves with pouty lips, and then they choose one of those to post on Facebook. So to say that the majority of the pictures are used on social media and aren't...
No, because they delete the other ones. Because you're looking
at... they're pretty much moronic.
This is what happened.
I don't think they delete them.
No, because Apple... You take all that, you press the picture, then Apple says, pick the one that looks the best. You pick that one, the rest of them, deleted.
Oh, well, that's Apple controlling your life again.
Well, that's what I want them to do for my phone. I want them just... I'm at a point where I just don't care about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think I've officially crossed that line of, I don't care if the government's monitoring me. What are you going to do? You're going to advertise me more dumb stuff? Whoop-de-doo. Is that really going to... As soon as it starts messing with my car...
You're tired of... As soon as you look at something on Amazon and buy it, that they keep advertising the same thing that you
Why do you
purchased?
Do that? I just bought a case of water. Why are you gonna everything? I bought a watch. I bought a Pebble smartwatch like an idiot before the company went under. Just before, so then they stopped supporting it, so I got rid of it. I bought that on Amazon for $50. I thought it was great. That was almost 5 years ago. I am still getting ads to buy that. Screen protectors for the thing. New watch bands. The company doesn't even exist that makes the watch anymore.
The resellers still exist.
Barely. Because the Pebble just never got all the software updates and everything. They were worthless.
Oh, I understand.
Because the app, that you have to have the app for it to do anything.
I understand, but there's a bunch of people who were the resellers of items.
I get that, but I mean, out of everything I bought in the past, 5 years, why is that something that just keeps showing up? Or then when I was going through my really weird hippie phase through high school, which is another story, I really liked baggy sweatpant things. I still get ads for that. But I never bought any. I never did.
But you probably clicked on a baggy pants website.
No, a baggy pants website?
I don't know.
What is that? I'm more inclined to click on a tight pant website. I don't know. That just seems...
No, but back then you probably clicked on a...
Oh, I don't know. I'm just saying, I just don't...
The other day I bought some socks on Amazon.
Right.
Where
You're too lazy to go to Target.
No. Well, I don't like Target. Personally, but I usually bought the socks that I like at Sam's Club. Well, Sam's Club periodically stops. If you're a frequenter of Sam's Club, they periodically stop selling stuff you get used to buying there. And then you've got to find alternate things. So I bought 12 pairs of socks on Amazon because I needed some new gold toe socks. Guess what? Every time I open an email, every time I look at anything, a website or whatever, I'm getting ads for gold toe socks now. Now, I've already purchased them. I don't need them anymore.
Exactly. But yet they keep advertising. So I'm opening my Amazon app to see what they are going to advertise me. Outside of the basic things they always advertise everybody. The get ready for summer thing. Let's see. Deals for dad, overstock deals, an outlet. Of course, now it's going to take forever to finally get to the ads that it wants to show me. A MacBook Pro. Okay, so it wants to sell me a MacBook. Great. And then I don't know why it's advertising Cranberry USA nitrite powder free examination gloves. I don't know why that's on there.
You got an examination
and
club
then
on your Amazon.
And then
what have you been doing?
No, I don't know. Then now I'm getting this funny license plate. I guess so. I'm getting this funny license plate thing, which I remember looking at this when I turned 16. Mm-hmm. That was the last time I clicked on an ad for that. It's a special license plate holder for like Japanese kind of cars.
Maybe if you would get an iPhone that's like from the last 5 years, that would stop.
It is from the last 5 years. This is only 3 years old. Then I just don't get it. The things that advertise to me. But like I got a Google Home. Mom doesn't like the Google Home, so I put that away. You know, which is okay. That's fine. But I don't care if it records me anymore. What is it gonna get? What is it gonna get that's so important that it's gonna change my life? Oh no, you're selling my location? Great. I have a smartphone doing the same thing. Oh, everyone's gonna know where you live. Yeah, well, you know what? Signing up for a website, you have to basically put your social security number down. I have 3 different emails.
Yeah, so I have 7.
Yeah, at some point, either it's going to stop or we just give up. I give up. I'm done. There's no way you can live in our society and be a functioning member and keep adapting.
You can be a Luddite.
It's just not going to happen. No. You can't just not have a smartphone, not have a computer, not have an email, not have any of that kind of stuff, and not know how to use it. One, if you don't know how to use it, you're in a lot of trouble at that point. But not having it, it's just, you can't do it. Unless you're really old and no one cares.
That's what I was to say, like the 80-year-old guy who doesn't have a computer.
Well, the 80-year-old guy, he's still going to the library to use the computer. But I'm saying, like, when you get to that point where we know no one's really going to push it, no one really cares, we know you're going to die in the next, like, 10, 15 years at most. But then when you get people like my age that are 21, what do you mean you don't have this? What do you mean you don't have that? Whoa.
Well, that's people
shut. That's not just that. People like shut down. They will not talk to you if you don't have a certain thing. Like for me, I don't understand how there are people your age and around my age that don't have an email. Like that is one of the most basic functioning things you need. To use anything on the internet, you need an email.
Yeah, and to apply for jobs anymore, you have to have...
You have to have an email. You have to have this. You have to have a Facebook, a Google, a LinkedIn. You have to have...
I don't know about LinkedIn, but...
Well, like for Best Buy, I had to have a LinkedIn. So to do all this application stuff and get everything done for it.
You had to have a LinkedIn?
I had to use a LinkedIn thing. Because you could use Google. But if you had a Google, you couldn't use Google+. Because guess what? It doesn't exist anymore. Facebook... I don't have any work-related stuff on my Facebook, so I can't use it. So I had to use my LinkedIn. Otherwise, I had to manually type in my entire resume, which is something that kills me. It just boggles my mind why technology sucks so much at this point, where I have to manually type in every single detail of these.
Why would you have to?
Because computers don't recognize it. You can upload your resume and cover letter, which you're supposed to make look nice and all this great. Computer can't recognize it. It's got to be in like the most basic text-based format for a computer to analyze it.
What I'm getting at is, why would you have to type it in? Those kind of things I keep in a Word doc and I cut and paste them.
The way it works right now, like any website where you're gonna apply, you upload your resume, and the computer looks at your resume and automatically fills out blank spaces for where you worked, some history, what you did. Except, unless it's the most basic text-based format, which you don't want to do that because it looks like you're a Marine that just eats crayons or something. And my brother's a Marine, I can say that. So you can't do that. You have to make it look nice, but then the program doesn't recognize it. So you have to go in and it'll be like, well, you says you work at store. No. I worked at the fancy store. But then it says fancy is the name of your boss, and then your boss's phone number, email, all this stuff doesn't exist. So you have to pull up a whole other document to look at what you got wrong, and it just takes twice as long. But you still have to upload that document. That's the stuff that kills me. So you have to have a LinkedIn so that your basic information is taken care of, and so they can verify that like you exist or something. Then you have to upload your resume. Then you have to fill out your whole resume, and then you still have to put in references. Like, in some of these websites want like 6 references.
You're really troubled by this, aren't you?
I am.
If you were doing a paper application someplace, you would have to give them references.
Right. But I just write it out. I just look at my phone and write down
What's the
people's
difference
names.
between writing it down and typing it?
The issue here's my issue. It's not the fact that you're doing it. It's the fact that we live in an age where technology is so adept that it can freaking track you from the moon to the toilet and back in
when
a
have
split
you been to
second.
The moon?
Well, I don't know, but I'm about to blow my top to the moon. And the technology can do all this, but it can't freaking manage to read a Word document with some pretty font on it. It can't manage to do that and fill in some blank spaces like the freaking
fonts?
computer from a 60s? It can't do that. My phone
There
can
is
protect,
no computer in the 60s.
I don't care. My
There
phone
is no computer in the 60s
my
that can
3-year-old phone
scan
can they can do predicted texting on my phone, and it can pretty much text out what I'm just going to say. Because I've been using this phone for 3 years. Me and Siri, we've gotten along pretty well. She gets me pretty good. Alright? The technology is advanced enough that you should be able to look at any freaking document that exists that's a Word document and be able to fill in blank spaces on a website where you are uploading a resume. And why are we doing this? Don't know. Why do I have to give you so much freaking...
I'll tell you why you're doing it.
I'm doing this just to prove that I'm a good...
Regulation.
You know what? Screw the government. Screw them.
Well,
okay,
yeah.
I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
All right, Memorial Day, let's do it. Enacting the 24th, whatever, 5th and a half amendment. We are taking over the White House, everybody. We are taking over the White House.
Now,
You're gonna get a name, man.
Now
Hurrah,
the NSA is
hurrah,
going to be going after
we are going to get into the White House, and we are going to take it over. Amen. Amen.
You've had a long day.
I went to 2 different church services today.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I went to a Methodist church, which was nice. It was a modern thing. It was really simple. It's their electric guitar is really out of tune. They're like, praise Jesus who knows, and it's just like, oh.
Maybe that's the way they wanted it to sound.
Is that how Methodists do their thing?
No, that whoever their guitar player was, maybe that's the way he tuned it.
Yeah, and they're like, hey, why don't you go do communion? And I'm like, I'm good. I'll just sit here.
Are you done ranting about this LinkedIn application process?
I mean, I can be, or I can keep going, because I'm
I did want to ask you, before you finished your ranting times,
okay,
about this. Now, this is from the Daily Mail in the UK.
All right.
Which is kind of
Daily Mail in the UK, the Sun in the UK.
Well, the Daily Mail is a little scandalous, probably a little bit gossipy kind of thing. But there's this author, David Garrow, who's written a biography of Martin Luther King a while back, but he recently was going through some more documentation and some of the secret FBI recordings of Martin Luther King. There's documentation in these. He hasn't heard the recordings, only the FBI agent's notes about the recordings. And it doesn't really say in the article if somebody has access to those recordings or not, but the notes are starting to get to be released. That Martin Luther King has had about 40 extramarital affairs. Yep. And I knew he had some affairs, but this is an egregious number. And he has a love child out there, which I've read before, but nobody's ever confirmed that. And supposedly there's still the woman he had a child with. The child and the woman are still alive, but they didn't want to talk to this
Here's the big thing.
Hold on, let me finish. No. And then also that him and another pastor had a group of women inside of a hotel room, and they were trying to figure out which ones would do natural sex acts and unnatural sex acts. And one of the women was starting to protest that, and Martin Luther King was allegedly kind of cheering on this other pastor to rape this woman. Now, beyond all of this, I've known some things about Martin Luther King that's very well documented, that he's plagiarized a lot of material. Mm-hmm. Yep. He's had extramarital affairs and things like that.
Even when he was murdered.
No, he was assassinated, which is, yes, it's a type of murder, but he was assassinated.
He was cheating on his wife when he was.
Yeah, possibly. That's, well, regardless, what I'm going to say is how, when you start to look at this, now this isn't in the mainstream media as far as the U.S. yet. Eventually it'll start to pop up and things like that. Maybe some of the local media outlets in the United States will start saying stuff, but this is certainly over in the UK. But do we downplay the great things that Martin Luther King did because of the bad things that he had in his life? So, and the question the reason I'm asking this of you right now, because you're a 20-something, and in the context of our culture right now, you have like Democratic presidential candidates now saying that we've got to take Thomas Jefferson's name off of things because he owned slaves 200 years ago, even though he, in the state legislature in Virginia, he tried really hard to get slavery abolished. But even they're saying because he tried to do that, but he tried to get slavery abolished, but he didn't actually stop owning slaves. Although from everything I've read, Thomas Jefferson, even though he had slaves, he treated them pretty much like employees. He didn't mistreat them, although he did have it does seem like he had an affair with one of his slaves and had a love child, so to speak. But he had this bad in his background, and everybody's trying to take his name off a building, take his statues down. There's a big thing going on in Indiana that's named after him, and they want to take it up. But they're taking away all the good that Thomas Jefferson did, one of the presidents of the United States, because of the bad in his background. And here's Martin Luther King, who did some phenomenal things for civil rights and fought peacefully for all of these things, but had all of this terrible stuff in his background. Do we take away all the good he did, take his name off? Almost every city in the United States now, every major city, probably has a Martin Luther King drive in it. They usually have a Martin Luther King school someplace. Of course, we celebrate Martin Luther King Day every year. It's a federal holiday. Do we take all of that away because he kind of was a really socially a terrible person?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, it's just like, do you stop selling every movie that Harvey Weinstein helped produce? I mean, the dude helped make some of the most iconic movies ever. Do we just stop selling those because he gets freaky with some people? I
don't know if freaky is the word for Harvey Weinstein.
But I don't, he hasn't actually been convicted of anything. But like
he's settling out of court now.
Yeah. But the Civil War stuff, I don't agree that we should, because these guys owned slaves or they were part of the Confederate States or whatever, that we should tear down their statues. Because you know what? There are Americans that fought for what they believed in. And some of these people, like, not Lee something. What is his name? The general.
General Lee.
General Lee. Sorry. It's just stupid. Like, that is probably, he was, I know he's considered as probably one of the best strategists. Like, when it comes to, because you got to think about it. They had a significantly smaller army than the Union. And, but they were whooping the Union's butt in areas. Like, there was way more guerrilla tactics from the South than there was from the North. And then there's so many great things that came from the South during this time, during the Confederacy, whether you agree with it or not, that has advanced our society, that we still use ideas and concepts from that. But does that mean that we should tear down every picture of the guy? No.
Well, that's what's already happened.
Well, right. But like with Dr. King, I don't really like the guy. I think he's done good things. Yes. Gandhi's done good things. Yes. Do I like them? No. And this is a video on YouTube I did a long time ago where I talked about MLK is not a great man. Right? So the whole video talks about how there's a difference between being a good man and being a great man. So people like MLK, he's a great man because he affected history whatever way, but he affected history. He is momentous and he is being remembered. Gandhi's the same way. William Booth, Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, whoever. They are great men. Are they good men down to the core of who they are? Maybe, maybe not. Like in Church Day, we talked about when someone's famous, we put them on a pedestal and act like they were never actually human. Mm-hmm. These people were human. So whether they were good, I don't know. Are they great? Yes.
Yeah. Well, I disagree with the whole one bad thing in your background slights the rest of everything you could do in life. Because part of that comes from my Christian beliefs that there's redemption and there's forgiveness in life. Because if you do something wrong, you can certainly be forgiven on an eternal level, but also you can be forgiven by those around you. And there should be redemption to be able to move forward. Man, I've got a terrible cough today.
It's okay.
But I also, this goes down to a level also personally with, I know people who are felons, who have served their time in jail, did not commit anything like murder or grand theft larceny.
They smoked a little pot and bam, they're gone.
They had some petty offenses that accumulated to a felony status, but for the rest of their lives, it's like a scarlet letter. They're labeled as felons. No matter how long they go without committing another crime and being a viable member of society, that the government, especially federally, now there's no forgiveness unless you get a presidential pardon. So there's people who go 30, 40, 50 years without doing anything. We call it a penitentiary system because you're supposed to be penitent there, renew yourself, pay your costs back to society, and then go back into society, and eventually your felony status should be revoked or forgiven is a better way. I like the way to think of it. But that in general doesn't happen. Now, state kind of felonies that can happen over time and such like that. But the reality is that when you're labeled a felon, if you got a felony when you're 21, when you turn 50, even if you hadn't committed any crime for that 29 years, guess what? When you apply for a job, you're still a felon.
Right.
And so for Martin Luther King, Thomas Jefferson, anybody else you brought up, we like to think of the good things they did. Yes, there was bad in their life, but we shouldn't condemn the good things that came out of their lives simply because they had a side of their life that was questionable, because that's what it's like to be human sometimes. And I don't know all the pressures he was under and all that kind of, I don't understand it all, because he was a minister, and to me a minister should be above board when it comes to ethics and how he treats people and members of the opposite sex and things like that. So obviously Martin Luther King is doing, now this is all alleged by this guy, and again, it's not, he hasn't listened to the tapes, but he has read the documentation that the FBI wrote down. And we should also acknowledge that the FBI director at the time, Hoover, was caught on multiple levels after the fact, falsifying documents to try to get people in trouble. So we don't know entirely if this is all true, but we do know that Martin Luther King, again, was plagiarized many things, and that he had some extramarital affairs. Whether it's 40, that could be questionable, but one affair to me is one too many. And so I just kind of want to get your take on it, because a lot of people your age are kind of like off with their head if you do something just a little bit wrong, or post something that somebody doesn't agree with on social media. Then it's very akin to this is hate speech. You should be railroaded and go off the deep end on people. Kind of a little bit like you did on that Charles guy last week. You just kind of jump to a conclusion, and the little bit of good that he does have in his life, you kind of throw it out with the baby with the bathwater.
The real question is, what do you do with people that are they're not good people? They're bad people, but they've done good things. Like, Hitler got some things right. Bam, right there. There's going to make a lot of people mad. But the reality is, he was the first politician to enact anti-smoking campaigns in the military and everyday life, talking about it. There's research that says it causes cancer. You shouldn't smoke. Although, yes, it was for you cannot destroy the Aryan race, so don't smoke. But he was also
trying to do a German accent. It sounded very Russian.
I spoke it sounded a little bit Russian today. He was also one of the first politicians to enact animal rights, that you can't just go around killing people's dogs or just beating animals across. He's the one of the first politicians to help promote protection for sex, for condoms and all this kind of stuff, because again, protecting the Aryan race. But the idea was he helped manufacture that to the point where the rest of the world was able to get it, where the rest of the world did it. He's done a lot of things that, weren't right. He's the reason Fanta exists as a soda today.
I really don't care.
Oh, but what I'm saying is he's a bad guy. But should we allow him to be credited for things that have actually helped society? We credit what's his bucket Ford, Henry Ford, even though he's anti-Semitic. For doing a lot of great things.
Yeah. Well, and all around the world, there's benevolent dictators that occasionally the United States government have deposed, or supported.
No.
So, for instance,
they stepped down and shot themselves out on free will.
Saddam Hussein, for a long time, was supported by the U.S. government, and when he went off the deep end, he was taken down by the U.S. government. But he was a benevolent dictator, and you throw him into a spot where many years ago the European powers decided to carve up a land with people who hated each other and stick them all together in one country, just like they did over most of the continent of Africa. You have to have some kind of benevolent dictator to keep them from killing each other. And Saddam Hussein filled that role. Now, there's a whole bunch he did that was bad, but he did keep...
in people.
Well, that was one of his sons did that. But Saddam Hussein kept the Shiites and the Shias and a whole bunch of other tribal areas within Iraq he kept those people from killing each other. And that's a good thing, I guess, but he's still a bad guy.
Yeah.
A bad player. So
it's all good.
It's all good.
We'll all die in the end.
Yeah. Well, it's time to go to our B block. And we want to thank all of our listeners out there who've been listening to us. Now that we're on episode 7,
hey babe,
we finally have a hi girl child. We finally have a website up and running, which is we called it Blood Pump Media.
Bloodpumpmedia.com. It is not bloodpump.media. It is bloodpumpmedia.com. So, and the idea in the future is that this will be a media of sorts, kind of orchestration. What's
organization?
Yeah, that thing. Where all our shows, all our content will be streaming from one stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
And we'll be pumping that life force, that blood out to you.
Yeah. We're an interesting heartbeat of culture, I think, on this show as we talk about things. And we're very thankful that you're sharing the stream of consciousness that we have with other people. We call that crossing the streams. And we're thankful for all of our supporters who cross the streams for us. Get the word out there because we want to have listeners. And we're getting things set up like email and a YouTube channel and things like that. We'll probably have about 10 shows under our belt before we're fully populating all those. And then we can start getting feedback from everybody.
Yeah. Right now, I'm currently working on how to record our show visually. So it's not just an audio podcast. So, we'd upload the audio, and then we'd have the visual part for YouTube. I'm still working on how to get all that out. As soon as that's done, you'll know because you'll be watching the podcast. So, shut up about it already.
Wow, is somebody complaining?
But please be one of our producers for our show. You're not just listeners, and you're not just, slackers sitting around not doing anything. Listen to this. You are a producer because you submit content, whether it be some really lame artwork or it be just a couple pennies because you're too cheap to donate a full $1 to us. But anyways, you are a producer. Don't forget that.
You have had a long day.
I'm just...
Yeah, and we believe in the value for value model. Like, if you're getting value out of our podcast, then you can share some value back to us. We really appreciate it.
Even though I do play an ad at the beginning of this on my podcast.
Oh, man.
Hey, man, come on.
Well,
it's just it's from anchors.com. Anyways, so we're trying to find different areas to do things, but we can't do that without your support. So please donate to my personal Kickstarter. I'm kickstarting a life, and I can't do that without your financial support because, frankly, student loans are tough, man.
You have almost no student loans.
They don't need to know that. They just need to know how broke and pathetic I am. I'm too close to being a millennial, so I can just inherit some of their inherent risk.
Well, maybe Kristen Gillibrand or somebody will pay off all your stuff.
Gurglebrand?
Yeah, whatever. Well, I've got 3... Don't be that guy stories.
About one guy?
No.
Or 3 about 3 separate guys?
3 separate dudes. So the first one here is there's a millionaire that's going to be sentenced for having sex with a teenager on autopilot in an airplane. Now, this guy from New Jersey, this is on Fox News on their website. This millionaire from New Jersey, he was supposed to be giving private lessons to this teenage girl and private flying lessons to this teenage girl. And on one of the solo flights where she was supposed to be monitoring him flying the plane, he put it on autopilot and they did some sexual activity going on. And and he's been texting. They found his phone. Of course, he's been texting back and forth with her things like, send me a nice naked picture, cute thing.
Wow, we got a good Anthony Weiner around here, don't we?
Well, this is a married man. He has several kids. Of course, his wife has divorced him now, and he's probably going to jail. He's 53 years old, and he's a father of 3. So he's probably going to go to jail here for about 5 years because he is a moron. So don't be that guy. If you're giving pilot lessons to teenage girls, don't have sex with them in the plane.
You know, I'm not to sound too controversial, but I'm at that point where I just don't think grown men should be alone with
Teenage girls.
Girl. I don't think men and a woman should be alone together in like any kind of enclosed, faraway environment if they're not related or, you know, married or something like that.
Well, this is the thing.
But you could be related in Alabama, so there's an exception in Alabama.
What is up with Alabama today? You're just throwing them under the bus. This is something I've told you and your brothers and your sister since you were little.
Don't smoke?
No. Boys and girls in general can't be friends.
No, I still believe that. This is what I tell everyone.
There's always a romantic element that happens there, and people argue with me about this all the time, but if in the right situation, the right conditions, that friendship will break down and somebody's going to try to do something.
See, you say it like that, and then that's where the argument breaks down. Everyone's like, no. This is how I say it. That I don't think guys and girls can truly just be friends. Someone say, oh, well, that's not true. I'm like, oh, here it is. A guy and a girl, right, cannot truly be just friends until they acknowledge how they feel about each other. Now, it'll be one of three ways. Either A, the guy has feelings for the girl and the girl does not have feelings for the guy. Or the girl has feelings for the guy and the guy does not have feelings for the girl. Or you both have feelings for each other. Either way, when all your feelings are made completely honest and clear, your friendship falls apart because it's no longer a friendship. Now it's one of them trying to win your affection. Therefore, the friendship always falls apart. When you say it like that, people go, oh. Because they realize, like, if you're a guy and a girl, you have to be dead honest about your feelings for them. Because if they have feelings too, just don't just be friends, just date already. You obviously got a thing for each other. But if you're just hanging out with some chick and you got feelings for her, but she does not reciprocate the feelings, get out of there, man. You're wasting your time.
Well, I think it's perfectly fine for groups of people to be friends together. Like I've had in high school, I had several female friends. And we would go out as a big group, and there was one or two other guys in the mix too. But sometimes it was just me and three of the ladies.
Yeah.
And so that was okay, but I was never one-on-one with any of the ladies. And of course, we were teenagers then, so hormones were big. But all that to say, don't be that guy. So here's our second don't be that guy story.
He's ugly.
Yeah, he's a moron, though.
A mullet in 2019.
This is out of the New York Post. I started reading the story just because of the headline says, man allegedly hiding drugs in butt accidentally shoots himself in the testicles. So,
okay, even if what are you trying to do? Were you hiding the gun? Did you just have like a pocket hanging over your big, your plumbing, and you just put it right there and blow it off because you couldn't poop out the drugs?
This is some guy in Washington. So he's carrying around a pistol in his front pocket.
Why in your front? Why? Why are you going to put a gun in your front pocket? It's just going to blow your nuts off.
Well, that's exactly what happened. So he's a 13-time convicted felon, by the way.
Why has he not seen end of a rope, a sponge on his head with a little bit of voltage? Why has he not seen any of these things yet?
Yeah.
13 time?
Well, not only that, if you're a convicted felon, you cannot be a gun owner. So
you don't say.
Right. So this is another one of those things like, oh, let's have gun laws because it doesn't stop the criminals from doing it. But
is it an inherited thing, like when you become a felon, to just anytime you get a gun in your reach to do the dumbest possible thing you can with it, like put a gun in your front pocket aimed at your wiener? Is that inherent? I've never seen yeah, man, I can't have guns, I'm a felon, but I got the sick holster, I've got a safety protector. Like, they go the whole 9 yards to make sure it does not go off there. It's like If I was a cop, and like, you know what, you can't have a gun, but you're more responsible than I am. You know what? Keep it, man. Here's my gun.
Yeah. So he shoots himself in the testicles.
Right.
Goes to the hospital. They start operating on him. And
what's this here, sir?
While they're operating on him, a bag of marijuana comes out of his butt on the operating table.
I want to see a picture of that.
Well, they don't have one.
I just want to see a picture of the doctor, just like.
So he had some kind of. It must
be my lucky day.
A balloon of marijuana slipped out of his anus while the doctor was operating on the gunshot wound.
Isn't weed legal in New York now?
No. This is in Washington, and I'm pretty sure you can have a certain amount up in Washington State. I thought I didn't look that up, but I'm
sure there's some law as soon as you look sketchy with the weed, then it's breaking the law. But if you just look like a normal Joe smoking dope, you're fine.
Yeah.
But as soon as you look sketchy, you're out.
So so they get done with the operation,
right?
And when they're all done, they take him to jail.
Okay.
And they strip search him there. And while they're strip searching him, another balloon of pot comes out of his butt.
The doctor must have put it back in. That was the same one. I swear. Where am I?
And then he gets put in jail, and of course he gets his phone calls and stuff, and he starts calling his girlfriend. Now this is a 13-time convicted felon, so he's pretty much a moron. Everybody knows that the police listen to your phone calls when you're calling from jail.
No, you don't say.
So while he's in jail, he's calling his girlfriend and asking her not to cooperate with the investigators on his case. And of course, that's collusion and
you're talking about collusion. Now
tampering
here's
with
some
a
real
witness
collusion. I found real collusion. There's evidence. Is he Russian?
He's just.
You blow your nuts off, you lose your girlfriend, you go into jail for the 14th time, and then you're getting strip search and fingers put up your butthole. You almost got to ask, did he want this to happen? Is this a kink he has?
Who knows, but don't be that guy.
Don't be.
Okay, first off, don't carry a loaded weapon in your front pocket without the safety on. Or just don't do it at all.
Some would argue a colon full of balloons full of weed is a loaded weapon.
True. And don't put balloons full of pot up your butthole.
He should have got those nitrite powdered blue gloves that Amazon was recommending.
Sure.
He should have got those. Yeah. I'm sure it would have held it a lot better.
So your last Don't Be That Guy story comes out of The Sun, which is in the UK also. There's this guy in China who goes to sleep drunk and wakes up and his penis has been chopped off and he has no idea how it happened.
Who really goes to sleep drunk?
Well, I don't think you've ever been drunk, so you know.
I mean, like
alcohol.
I get. Trust me, I get it. But I mean, like. I get the blackout thing, but it's just like they're saying he became so drunk he fell asleep. No, he got so wasted the dude blacked out. You don't I just fell asleep and then someone came up and slipped my penis off with some little scissors. No, dude, you were blacked out drunk.
Yeah, well, he was. And when he woke up, the story says he felt a sharp pain in his groin and then noticed his genitals have been chopped off.
Whoops. They took it to give to the guy going for his 14th felony record.
It's the crazy thing is this line in the story here. He told cops he had no idea who was responsible for this cruel prank. This is not a cruel prank.
This is a cruel prank. Why would anyone do this to me? There's pictures of Koreans at the top. That's why I just made a Japanese.
Yeah, you're terrible at that. But you're stereotyping everybody, including Alabamans.
Hiroshima.
So, yeah, A cruel prank is when your buddy's sleeping, you write something on his forehead with Sharpie. And that
A cruel
can be...
prank is where you draw a male genitalia on your face with a Sharpie, not chop it off.
Where's this guy's friends, and who are his friends?
He doesn't have
But
friends.
then not only that, so I guess he finds his member,
right,
and he goes to several hospitals, but they kept turning him away.
Oh, I have my penis in my own. Will you please attach it?
And he finally ended up at some Changsha hospital. That's the way it's spelled. Chang. That's the way it's spelled.
Where does it say that?
Right here. Changsha.
Changsha.
What? How else would you pronounce that?
Changsha Hospital, not Shengshou Hospital. Finally, we're taking the Changsha Hospital. He's treated by medical studies.
Well, anyway, he finally found a microsurgeon there that would reattach his member.
Was it that small?
It took 7 hours to reattach it.
Oh, that must have been one steady hand.
They say, oh, but on bump. Now he's now recovering and doing well. So don't be that guy that goes to bed so drunk that somebody can cut your member off and you wouldn't notice until you woke up. I mean,
and for goodness sakes, don't go to a Changsha hospital.
You're so wrong.
Woo! Okay, let's go make fun of dumb Americans again. Come on, let's go. What do we got?
Yeah. Well, this is Millennial Madness at its best. So,
you mean Millennial Magic?
No, Millennial Madness.
It's just great content.
Yeah, there's 2 stories here. Well, actually, there's 3 kind of wound together, although one of them is more Zoomer related. But this is from the Wall Street Journal.
A reputable newspaper.
That, you know, the oldest millennials are starting to get into middle age. And the story talks about them lagging behind the baby boomers and Gen Xers despite a decade of economic growth. And so the story goes through and talks to several people, specifically a young woman who's got a kid and a boatload of student loans.
I feel like we're playing catch up in the game of life.
Yeah, and I don't get this. I'll tell you what the problem with millennials is they keep buying Starbucks.
Stop sucking at life.
Well, it's not sucking at life, but
okay,
they just
listen,
spend,
one of the dudes
they
that people
spend
watch.
a lot of money.
I get that. This is why stop sucking so much. Stop sucking so much money down your throat. Stop sucking everything you can consume possibly down your gullet. All right. Here's the thing, right? So you get this, all these people saying, no, man, when people tell you about, like, saving money and becoming a millionaire by putting $100 a month away for 40 years.
Now you're mocking your father.
No, I'm not mocking my father. I'm just saying, Alex Jones here. I'm just going to get down to business, and I'm going to tell you about the frog people that are gay.
Frog people that are gay?
Okay, see, these people that, they don't believe in the whole, they don't understand the math behind if you just freaking put money in your savings account, you'll have money to spend later on, and you won't be broke.
And like I've always told you and your brothers and your sister,
Don't
you should
smoke.
live on, well, I did say that. You should live on 75% of your income. You should give 10% away and save 5 for the rainy day. And if you're always living at less than 100% of your income, you'll be fine. But the problem is that too many people, and it's not only millennials. They
match their income with their standard of living. Therefore, they're always... No,
you stop.
You stop. No, you stop.
I'm saying
Put a Spiderman meme right now. Stop. Who are you?
No, you stop. What I'm saying is that their standard of living is higher than their wages.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. They don't meet it.
But that's what
they're
happens.
living beyond their means.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Like, you get paid. Let's say you make $35,000 a year. So then, and you're making $35K, so you match your standard of living to $35K because you somehow think you need to fill. What are you doing, Dad?
I was adjusting my shorts.
You just grabbed your belt. Sorry, guys. So people make $35K a year, and they match it with $35K at like there's standard living.
Did you lose your train of thought?
So they make $35K a year, and they got $35K in their what do you call expenses, their standard of living. So what happens is they're like, oh man, I just don't have enough money. I don't know what's going on. So then they get a credit card, they go into debt so that they can afford more things because there's just not enough money for all the things they want. So then they somehow make more money, and then now they're making $100,000 a year. Well, you would think if you're living at a standard of living of $30,000, $35 or whatever, you'd be doing just fine. $100. No, those people, they somehow now are their standard of living matches the amount of money like perfectly they're making, and we know that are doing like the exact same thing, and I don't get it. Where does it end? Like, I'm fine with living in a mobile home because you make those things look nice. I'm fine with a Honda.
I'm not fine with you living in the mobile home, but
well, the one Thomas had was great. I know I just said my brother's name. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But the one my brother had,
they're targets for tornadoes. So.
Well, yeah, great. So whatever. But I mean, starter homes, like it's just there's certain things that people seem to think when they get out of college, they get out of high school, they're gonna start making the same money mom and dad did. Because that's what they grew up with. Mommy and daddy's car didn't drop out of the sky. Okay, they worked for that. They got a job. They probably got degrees. They did all the dumb menial jobs that none of us want to do. They worked at a stupid cash register. You worked at a bar. I even worked at a bar for a while.
I never worked at a bar.
We worked at a place where you served nachos, which was like partially a bar or something.
Yeah, I was the food runner for a restaurant that had a bar downstairs.
Yeah, I mean, and I worked like at a bar and illegally served alcohol, but I mean, it's Nebraska, whatever. But it was just like we all have had to work to do stuff, but a lot of these people seem to think they can just walk into life and it's going to be handed to them. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So then by the time they get middle-aged and they don't have everything they wanted, it's because you thought you'd start off at the end. In the middle, you thought you start your life in the middle where everyone's already got everything pretty much going for them at that point. And so you're constantly trying to keep up with that. So when you get to that point in your life where you're supposed to be feeling the way you were, like middle-aged, well, now you're still struggling just to try and
Those
pretend.
should be your middle-aged years should be your prime earning years.
Yeah, well, like I'm one of those people that I personally believe that when I'm in my like late 30s, 40s, probably early 50s, that'll probably be like the prime of my life, because I think that'll just be my experiences and everything in life, my education, everything will match my age. So like I would argue that I know that sounds funny, but I'm just saying, like I'm trying to follow your logic. I'm 20 something, and I can have conversations with older guys. I'm a little more intellectual, and I have a lot more experiences, like experience-based, whatever, than a lot of other people my age. So by the time I'm, let's say, 40, 45, all the things I've experienced in life will match up with everything I've read. All the stories I've heard from guys that are your age or older, and I'll be a full adult. I'll be a big boy then. But I'll be a full adult, and I think that'll be when I'm my happiest, when I have a family, I'm married, and I have all the stuff, and I'm around that age.
Sure.
Other kids right now, they're peaking, and they don't know it.
Well, but that is true, though, in the dynamic of humanity, that a lot of people peak early, and then they burn out. And so it's to stay at the peak or maintain a level of income or abilities and things like that. throughout the entirety of your life, it's very, very difficult. I've read stories like, for instance, Billy Joel.
Yeah.
And he talks about how his first couple of decades as an adult, it was so easy for him to write songs. They don't come to him as easy as they used to. And that's simply part of the human condition. That when you're young and your mind's super active and it's changing from your teenage mind to your young adult mind and all your neurons are firing, you've got all this energy and you're passionate about things, that writing songs or poetry comes very easy. But later in life, not so much. It's harder. And so you don't want to peak too soon. But you see it all the time in movies and music and things like that.
Washed up people.
Yeah, you can go see. What is going on with you? You got rhinitis or something?
Man, I just got
I need to get you a cough button, so you can belch and sniff.
You need the cough button.
Well, there's that. I got terrible acid reflux. Anyway, I mean, you can go see the Rolling Stones, and they put out an album every few years, but it's not like when they were younger and they put an album out every year. Or Fleetwood Mac was coming through the area. Fleetwood Mac hasn't had a new song in forever, but they just keep playing the stuff that they wrote when they were younger. And that's okay. People like that stuff, and people are paying big dollars to go see it. But it is a reality that a lot of people... So when you're talking that sometime in your future, 20, 30 years down the line, that you're going to be... You feel like that's going to be the prime of your life and stuff. And so the next story that I was going to discuss with you out of Bloomberg is that millennials and Gen Z are increasingly pessimistic about their lives.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I didn't think I'd live anywhere to be 20.
You didn't think you'd live to be 20?
No.
Why?
Especially when I was younger. So one of the big reasons why I don't make art the same way as I used to, and I really will sit there and try and come up with stuff. But it's just like musicians, like those teen angst bands that become like really mellow and they're just like not angsty and cool anymore. It's because they don't have anything to worry about anymore. Money took care of their problems. I'm not depressed anymore. I don't contemplate suicide. I don't have super dark thoughts about a lot of stuff anymore. So a lot of my artwork was about like dead people and hanging people, and it was like really gruesome because I was expressing feelings I was having on paper, and I was trying to get them outside of any other way of getting them out, which would have been negative. I just don't feel that way anymore. Whether that be everything I did when I was in high school, it was therapy, or it was prescription drugs. But I can't think the same way as I did then, that's another topic. But I don't feel the same way. I don't experience emotions currently the same way as I did then.
But you're not pessimistic now.
Not now. As much. I get it. It just makes sense. But when you're going through public school, you're just going through school, and because a lot of the people my age are just now getting into college. I am the beginning part of my generation. So my Gen Z, the Zoomers, are getting into college now. Or just graduating high school or whatever. For me, it sucked. I hated it. I hated it all. I thought I would be dead by 18. I thought I'd die of some disease. I'd die in some car accident. I thought I'd kill myself. I thought someone else would kill me. I just thought I would be dead. I would not matter whatsoever. I would just cease to exist. Like, I would complete some task. I would graduate high school, turn around like the Breakfast Club, throw my fist in the air, and I would fade into the pages of Burke High School forever. It just, because everything's so fake. When you go to school and teachers tell you things, it's so fake. Because that teacher, you found them on Facebook, and that what they're telling you just doesn't make any sense because you can see everything about their personal life. You have so much information, so much access.
Well,
that
part of the story, I'll read this paragraph in this story. Because some among the Gen Z age group are still studying, they are generally more likely to expect educators to provide them with the skills they'll need in the labor market. Millennials, on the other hand, expect businesses to give them access to more skills. Gen Zs are less likely to be dissatisfied with their work situation than millennials. So Generation Z expects to get trained through the education process. Millennials, on the other hand, expect businesses to give them skills when they go every time they switch jobs. And those are
that's the
opposite,
dichotomy that my sister and I have when it comes to government. Because I'm just going to say government schools. Because I don't want to say I love government, but I love government. Because I think there are certain things the government totally... It's okay for the government to exist. But like for public schools, I think, public schools are cool and fine or whatever. As long as they're teaching and doing something productive. So I would rather public schools, because we're all going to pay for them, teach me how to pay bills, how to do certain tasks, how to be a functioning member of society and get a job, versus put it on the burden of other people outside the government to do something for me that they don't have to. Like go to a business, there's no reason they have to show me how to do so many things. If I don't have the skills for that job, I don't have the skills for that job, unless it's like a low skill job where they just show you how to do a cash register. I'm going to be a welder. A welding company isn't going to hire me to teach me how to be a welder to do that unless that's what they want to do. School should be the place to do that.
Sure.
Which is, that's part of the pessimism with my generation, I suppose, was we didn't get any of that training. We're always told we're going to prepare you for college and with the workforce, and then you get there and nothing happens.
Yeah, and that goes right into one of the highest concern for millennials is income inequality or distribution of wealth, whereas for Gen Zs that wasn't as high a issue with them. They're more worried about being satisfied at their work than millennials. Millennials want to make a bunch of money, but then they want everybody to make a bunch of money regardless of their skill sets. And Gen Z is more about kind of a
work-life balance.
Yeah, work-life balance. That would be a good way to put it. The real interesting thing about this survey that they put out here is they went across countries all around the world, and this isn't just a U.S. phenomenon. This is the way these generations are thinking worldwide. I partly think that is because of the media, but because we all kind of share the same kind of news sources and the internet now and things like that. Of course, in other countries like China, a lot of the internet's censored. But in general, these are the kind of thought processes that are happening around the world. And I found it interesting because, especially in countries like the United States, I mean, we've got the longest time between recessions is going on right now economically. Things seem to be booming. There is a big distance between the poorest of the poor and the richest of the rich in our country. But in general, the middle class is expanding like it's never has before. So I don't understand why there's anything to be pessimistic about.
It's just about the world where everything becomes so concerning. Why is it that when I wake up, I need to be concerned about what's going on in Mexico? Because what's happening in Mexico affects our economy. What happens to our economy affects my job. What affects my job affects me. And even working at Best Buy, if the trade stuff, a tariff, they will bring that up and make it like it's a personal issue because they have to cut back on 0.2222223% of something. I mean, probably 0.001% or something, and that makes them mad. And they're going to bring it down and say, well, we're just going to cut no more pens for the appliance area. No more pens. Okay. But everything gets made on such a personal level, even though it's never going to affect you. Yeah. Like steel? That won't affect me. At least not for the next couple of years. It's not going to affect me.
No, prices have already went up like 5% because...
When was the last time I bought steel, though?
You bought a car.
Yeah, that was made over a decade ago. Yeah, that's what I'm saying is personally for me, if I never knew that happened, I wouldn't have noticed. Certain people would, but that's just the way it is. But the whole world is constantly at my fingertips telling me to pay attention to it. So I'm concerned and depressed about the world sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, why do I even care?
Yeah.
Other than like a Christianly, want to save people's souls, but at the same time, it just doesn't matter.
Well, and that goes with the next story. I think part of the reason that people think that, I shouldn't say people, but these generations are feeling pessimistic because you got guys like the Apple CEO, Tim Cook. He speaks at a graduation. This is in the observer.com. At a graduation ceremony at Tulane, and starts to tell the graduating class that his generation has failed everybody. We spent too much time debating, too focused on the fight, and not enough on progress. Of course, he's lumping this all in with climate change and things like that. But there is never a time where debate is a bad thing. In talking it out, you can't bulldoze things by those who disagree with you, and that's what Cook said. There are some who would like to believe that the only way you can be strong is by bulldozing those who disagree with you. Today, certain logarithms pull toward you things that you already know, believe, or like, and they push away everything else. Push back, it shouldn't be this way. So he's kind of contradicting himself because he says we shouldn't be debating, but then he says social media puts us in an echo chamber, so we only hear like-minded ideas.
I think what he's saying is we shouldn't. So what happens is you get on your phone and it's just constantly reinforcing an idea. And it doesn't know if that's a good idea or not. It just knows that's an idea you've had. So it just keeps reinforcing it constantly over and over and over and over. So next time you come in contact with someone, you are not just someone that has an idea. You are an extremist about an idea that you know nothing about. It's just a concept.
I would say extremist, but probably zealot.
Sure, yeah, zealot's a good word. And then instead of having a conversation, discussing it, talking about it, even arguing about it, you just have a debate where it becomes political. It becomes two sides. You're with me, you're against me. There is no this fluid nature of a conversation where you can agree or disagree on something. You can pick and choose ideas. It doesn't count towards anything. It doesn't mean anything. But everything becomes this life and death situation. I think that's what he's talking about.
No, I guess. I wasn't quite following him.
I mean, he is gay.
I don't care. What I do care about is that it seems like he's another one of those people who's been made a multimillionaire, if not a billionaire, by the United States economy, and he is starting to sound like one of these people who thinks the U.S. is a terrible country.
Which I don't understand. If it's going so well, everything's going so great, why are you trying to bite the hand that has feedeth you?
Yeah. I don't get that. I struggle with it because I love this country. I'm very patriotic, and I just don't understand that kind of thing.
When do you think being patriotic crosses the line of idolatry? I've heard some people talk about it, like, yeah, I thought it was interesting. Not that I completely agree with it, but I can see their point about the United States, where we do so much to being patriotic and honoring our veterans and things, to a point where, as a Christian, do you think it crosses a line to how we look at presidents, how we look at our flag, and all this kind of stuff, to where that patriotism almost butts heads with God?
In some fashion, I think that that's true. For some people, I wouldn't put myself there. I admit that our country's had some failings, and we could have done things better, obviously. However, it's undeniable that if you look at the history since the United States has become a country, that we have radically changed things worldwide because the United States exists. And so some of that's been bad. I would say some of the worst has happened in the last 25 years that people don't know about because our media doesn't say anything. But but no one can argue the fact that the world has changed for the better because the United States exists. And because of that, I think that we're a great country, and I'm very patriotic about it because, in general, the United States has been, over the centuries, the moral, ethical center of the world, that people have depended on the United States to do what's right in the end and do what's best for everyone else. And that's where I get at in the last 25 years. I think that's been a little shaky. But in general, that's what's happened. And that's why people trusted us to rebuild their countries after World War II. But I totally get what you're saying, that I think there's some people who take patriotism to an idolatrous level.
Right.
But we think about that. This is Memorial Day weekend. There was a really cool story that I saw in the Hartford, Connecticut newspaper, the Courant, where they had some vintage planes that flew on D-Day, and they're 75 years old, and they flew these planes from Connecticut across the Atlantic over to Normandy, France.
Wow.
These are old C-47s, and they flew some folks
I can't believe, looking at some of these pictures on the computer, I can't believe some of these made it across the ocean.
Yeah, well, the C-47s are still used all over the world today.
Right.
There were so many of them built that they can just keep cannibalizing the parts and such. And the engines, these Pratt and Whitney engines that are in them, are the old piston kind of.
Are they the circle pistons where it goes? You know what I'm talking about? I know I just made a stupid sound, but it's like the motorcycle Harley Davidson engines, like in a giant circle.
Yeah, in general.
I just watched a video of a guy that built one, or I think he built it, and he's trying to start it. That thing's nuts. I haven't watched one of those things start.
Yeah, so it's just a good story that they were able to get some of these planes going, and
it's a Best Buy commercial playing right there. I'm just saying, it's listening.
There was a Best Buy commercial?
Right there. That was a Best Buy commercial.
Yeah, I just thought it was really cool because like 13,000 of these C-47s were built, and something like that. Probably even more. And they were just commemorating the D-Day invasion, Operation Overlord, and I just think that's a really cool thing, that they flew some troops over there to commemorate the day.
I do too. And, I just want to thank all our veterans, including you, Dad.
Well, thanks.
Well, I know you don't always consider yourself, I don't know why I was going to say high and mighty, but like a veteran, you don't always kind of think of yourself that way, but I do. You definitely helped our nation.
Well,
and
I just I didn't fight in a foreign war, so I don't always.
But you helped protect the nation from Soviets.
Well, yeah, it was back during the Cold War.
So you did something more than I ever did for this nation. So I thank you. I want to thank
thanks.
my
we
brother.
Thank all the troops out there,
Yeah. One of my brothers, not the other one. Another one failed after basic training. So
yeah, but he still took the time,
right,
and had the impetus to go, which is, that's a good thing.
Yeah,
he tried.
What's with the Shih Tzu?
Well, this is an interesting story that
this is the one I told Mom about,
that I wanted to get your opinion of, because you're a younger person.
Yep.
So there's a lot of people now that are so in love with their pets that when they die, they actually get their pets euthanized to be buried with them. And I don't understand this.
Okay, so
I don't think that pets have a soul. I know that, as the saying goes, all dogs go to heaven. Who knows where cats go? But they.
Okay,
I'm
so what I know about
this
chick, there was this chick, I don't know how old she was. I know she died. Her will was that to have her dog buried with her. Whatever her age was, I guess doesn't really matter, but The dog died, or the lady died. The dog was completely healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So to abide to her will, they took the dog and they euthanized it and cremated it and put it in the casket with her.
Yes.
Which is the thing. Well, I want to know how old the lady was. I don't know if you can figure that out. But it wasn't just because I think it's different than just like a millennial that died that wanted to do this kind of crazy thing. I think it was just like an old lady that just had a dog and wanted the dog to be buried with her and didn't put a second thought into it. And then
she put it in her will.
Yeah, but didn't put a second thought of, well, if I die before the dog, what are they going to do to the dog? You know, it's not like they're going to bury you and dig you back up to put the dog in there with you.
Well, this was happening in Virginia, and the story says, with few exceptions,
close to Alabama,
burying animal remains with human remains in the same cemetery plot is actually against the law.
In almost every place in America, it is. I know there's one exception where this one veteran died, and this dog, every day, came to the gravesite and just sat there all day long for like over 10 years or something. Like, no one knows what the heck was going on with that. But then when the dog died, they buried it and put a statue of it next to that veteran's. They made an exception for whatever reason, but it's about diseases and things like that having their bodies with humans.
So, and then I guess they were having a hard time finding a vet that would do this because no vet wants to euthanize a perfectly healthy dog.
And a cute little Shih Tzu at that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, okay. I know you don't care about it as much, like when it comes to like animals. I think.
Well, I do care about this. I think this is dumb. I mean,
what? You wouldn't agree with that like a week ago because you've said some pretty. It's just a dog. Just kill it. Well, you've said that same stuff about our own dog. All right, you have. My girlfriend's dad is one of those guys where the dog poops in the house one more time. I'm taking it to the vet to put it down. I think that is wrong. I think unless, not to say like, I am squatting dog. How? That the Native Americans, I'm going to like pull from them. But I agree. Like if you kill an animal, you shouldn't just like murder it just to kill it. Do something to, not honor it in a sense, but like just be productive with it. Like use the resources. Like when they kill the buffalo, they use every piece of the buffalo.
So you're saying it's okay to kill a dog as long as we're eating it?
Yeah,
dog's a good meal.
If you're gonna kill a perfectly healthy dog for nothing more than just to bury it, I think that's wrong. Because I don't think that's being a good steward to all of the beasts.
Not Stewart.
I am a steward,
Well.
Technically. I don't think it's being a good steward to the creation God has given us to be in charge of. I just don't think that's right. Stepping on a bug, completely understandable. Stepping on the back of a Shih Tzu to kill it and then euthanize it to bury it in a urn
on the back to kill it?
They got weak backs.
And then euthanize it?
Yeah, I think
so that's like
that's
killing
wrong.
it to kill it.
Yeah.
Not following you.
It's like, it's.
No, I totally, I get angry
beating
at
a dead horse.
I get angry at our dog, the family dog, and I call her dummy and kinds of stuff. But
she's old, too.
Well, she is.
She's
but,
old.
every time we've had a problem with the dog and we couldn't keep the dog, we put it in a no-kill shelter so that other people could adopt it.
Yeah.
I might feel different if it was a cat, but definitely dogs, no. Don't kill your dog just to have it buried with you. It's just really odd. But
okay, a quick
it's just
question.
a difficult story.
For a horse, we shoot it in the head when it breaks a leg. Is that because it can never heal from a broken leg? Or does it just take so long to do it?
Well, the issue is if you were out on the open range and your horse broke its leg, right. There is no way that horse is going to heal up and make it. So you might as well shoot it in the head to put it out of its misery. because it's also very painful.
Well, yeah, because
So,
they're standing like.
but
90%
I mean,
of the day.
on the no farmer out there who has a horse.
There was a Malcolm in the Middle episode where the oldest brother's out chilling at a farm he's working at, and then a horse like stubs its toe and like twists its ankle and he thinks it's broken, so he just like gets a shotgun and blows its head off, and everyone's like, "Oh, that was my prized racing horse."
That's just seriously wrong.
Oh, the good days.
Now, I did think there's a Fox News story about President Trump in Japan.
Oh, that's what that was?
And
That's so cool.
yeah, here's the funny thing is that the sumo wrestler that Trump awarded a giant eagle-topped trophy to was only 25 years old, and he weighs 390 pounds.
Jeez.
Dude eats a lot. But it's called the President's Cup, and the trophy, I guess, weighed 60, 70 pounds. And Trump and Melania and the president of Japan, they were out watching the sumo. I thought it was cool. No U.S. presidents ever awarded sumos with a trophy. Now, I mean,
It's a big, like, Stanley Cup kind of trophy, too.
yeah, I mean, in Japan, the sumo wrestler is like, it's higher.
It's a highly
Yeah.
respected thing. It's
like
very religious as well.
Yeah, it's a super big honor for a U.S. president to be there and award some kind of trophy like this. And I just thought it was kind of cool. Now, there is another story that, real quick as we round up our time this week, that I want to talk to you about. And Fox Business put out some worst product failures this last week. And some of these, I don't know if you remember or not.
New Coke did not exist.
Yeah, when you were born.
But they are bringing it back because of season 3 of, what do you call that? Stranger Things. I'm really excited.
They're bringing...
I really, really,
Oh,
really
yeah,
want to try
it says it right here.
Yeah. I'm going to buy it. I want to try it. I want to see if I like it or not. Because I hear so much about it, but I was not around when it was there. Yeah. It was such a cultural thing.
In the second Forrest Gump book, he's the reason there was New Coke.
I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, I remember when this came out. It was I was a sophomore in high school when this came out. The rumor at the time was, and I've never looked it up to see if
it's just lukewarm Pepsi.
No, that it was the time that all of the NutraSweets and all that got really big with the Diet Cokes and such. It's not the NutraSweets. I'm sorry. It was the corn syrup.
Mm-hmm.
And so Coke, up until that point, always had real sugar in it. And so they were trying to do a flip to use New Coke was going to be with corn syrup, and it had a little different flavor and all that kind of stuff. But people just did not like it.
And the main thing, reading something and watching some videos on it, the main thing was that unlike today where Coke rolls out, here's Coke, the normal Coke, and then here's an extra flavor you can try if you're curious. Mm-hmm. They deleted all Coke, and it was just New Coke, which was the main impetus behind the rage.
Right.
Is you just removed the one thing everyone liked and put in a substitute.
Well, not only that, it was the most popular beverage on the planet.
Yeah. During the Cola Wars.
Right. The marketing moron behind that was just a ding-dong. So, Pepsi had 2 rollouts. There was Pepsi AM in 89.
What is that?
And Crystal Pepsi in 1992.
I know Crystal Pepsi. I like it.
Yeah, it's still kind of around. It comes back.
You can find it once in a while.
Pepsi AM was Pepsi with an extra 25% of caffeine. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was Pepsi, which contained a whole bunch more.
I'd be totally down with that. They threw in like another 100 milligrams of caffeine in an 8-ounce can.
Yeah. So I don't know if they were trying to make people more addicted to their soda.
But Pepsi AM, I'd go for that, man. Yeah. Apple Newton, 1993.
Yeah, the Apple Newton came out in 1993.
I had a buddy in high school that had one of these.
Sure. He still had one?
Yeah, his dad bought it, original, and he showed me pictures of it and everything, but he said he could never get it to work. They had to be plugged in, or like you had to plug it in a really certain way to use it. But I've seen pictures of him with it, so they exist, I suppose.
Well, this is back in the early 90s. It cost $700, which would be probably about $2,100 now.
Yeah.
It never got the handwriting recognition down. And of course, Palm Pilot came out. Palm, with their products, came out not long after this. And Palm was a fabulous product. So just kind of an interesting dynamic for Apple. People think about Apple having all of these great products like the iPhone and the iPads and things like that. But there was a series of time here. And Newton was not a Steve Jobs thing. This is
when they kicked him out and they had to bring him back because they were bombing bad.
Yeah. This is about the time also that Microsoft bailed Apple out to keep a competitor in the market so they wouldn't be considered a monopoly.
Yeah.
Then you have McDonald's Arch Deluxe.
Now, I could be totally wrong. When does it say it ended? Does it say that? Because I feel like I remember when there was a Arch Deluxe burger at McDonald's.
I think it was...
It says it was 96 when it came out, so...
But it was out of the menus pretty quick. This was supposedly McDonald's gourmet burger, so they upped the charge on it. Although it was basically a cheeseburger with some extra, like tomato.
It's just a normal deluxe burger now.
Yeah, so they chopped the tomatoes up rather than putting a whole slice of tomato on it. Made it look more sophisticated with the same ingredients, and then upcharged people for it, and it just didn't.
Yeah.
Didn't take off. The next one's Burger King's attempt at healthier French fries called Satis Fries.
I remember those.
Yeah, this was in 2013, so I don't know, you would have been, 15, 16 when this came out? But they're made with 30 to 40% less fat, and...
You could tell because they were crinkle fries, and Burger King only has, like, steak cut fries.
Right, and I tried these a few times. They did not taste very good.
Yeah, I don't remember them.
They tasted like
tasting
the
them.
Rice cakes.
Okay, that's a good point, yeah. And then here's the Microsoft Zune, which we still have 2 of them here in the basement.
Yeah. Now, I don't know why Zune didn't take off. It probably has a lot to do with Microsoft's poor marketing.
It has to do with the hard drive.
But I thought it was a fabulous product. I love the Zune. I love the Zune website and the
software for Zune was fantastic.
The software was phenomenal to sync things to your far better than iTunes. And I liked the Zune HD. That was a great
remember when
product.
I saved up my money to buy that. I was expecting the screen to be a lot bigger. It was really small.
Yeah, but it was just a phenomenal product, and I really, really liked it.
Yeah, well, the what a lot of people say is it went bye-bye because it just kept with the hard drive versus getting the SSD. Like, all the iPods were gone, and, you drop a Zune, sorry, buddy.
I don't know. My Zune, I mean, I went through 3 or 4. I was buying used ones there for a while to try to keep my Zune empire going, but I beat the heck out of those things, and they were hardy.
Yeah, I don't know. But, I wish there was still a Zune app, like streaming service or something.
Oh, yeah.
Would have been great.
Well, my theory all along was that they were trying to come up with the Windows Phone, and
which is what it became. The Zune HD was the software for that was the prototype for the Windows Phone. So, then we have the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 in 2016.
Yeah.
That didn't last long.
Well, it didn't last long because that's the one the battery kept exploding.
Yeah.
Just poof, 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 poof. So it kept overheating, burning people, and blowing up.
I remember seeing a video of a dude in like a TV shop or something. He's just walking and suddenly, bang, 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 and starts shooting off in his pocket. And he just catches on fire. And you just, what the heck?
Yeah, it's... it was... I love Samsung. I think I've had tons of Samsung products. Right. I have I love Samsung, and that was a bomb. That's all there is to it. And it was a terrible marketing thing. Well, that's about it that we have for the show this week. Good discussion today. I think we went all over the map.
Yeah, we're getting pretty close to the 2-hour mark.
Yeah.
So it's about midnight here. It's getting up there.
Yeah. That's a little late.
Thanks for listening, everybody. We really appreciate it. Don't forget to go to our website.
Yeah. bloodpumpmedia.com.
That's not bloodpump.media. That's bloodpumpmedia.com.
Yeah, we want you to start crossing the streams, sharing the podcast with others. We really appreciate you listening, and we're very thankful that you're here, and I want to remind you, don't fall up a down elevator.
And remember, if I don't come back, you made me come here.
See you next time.
Deuces.